Good evening, everyone. I'm Surbhi Singhal, extending a warm welcome on behalf of the International Council for Circular Economy. Today marks the commencement of the eighth session of our webinar series titled Transforming India's Infrastructure, where we are privileged to have experts representing diverse industry sectors. This webinar series is designed to unite groundbreaking processes, ideas, solutions, and the widespread dissemination of knowledge. We are happy to conduct this series in collaboration with the PM Gati Shakti Center of Excellence in Logistics and Supply Chain Management, School of Management, Doon University. A gentle reminder to all participants to keep their microphones on mute, please. And if you would want to interact with any of the speakers, the chat box is there. You can write in the chat box to ask any questions or anything that you would want to share in the chat box. And I would request everybody else to turn off their videos except the speakers. Now, in our previous webinar, we discussed the role of policy and regulation in driving a circular economy, what policies can be put in place to incentivize circularity, wherein we talked about how government intervention through setting up the right regulatory framework can work for promoting circularity. Today, our focus will be on the circular economy and the future of consumption. How can we shift towards a more sustainable model of consumption? I would like to welcome our distinguished guest speakers and the moderator for today's session. Our first speaker is Mr. Prabjot Sodhi. He's Senior Program Director, Center for Environment Education, CEE. Mr. Sodhi, with a total of 40 years of experience, previously headed UNDP Circular Economy. During his tenure, he worked extensively on sector strategies, systems thinking, materials flow, recovery center, competence development programs, circular business models, and also in the informal sector, including Safai Sathis, that means waste pickers. He had been country program manager for the Global Environment Facility, GEF, UNDP Small Grants, UNDP Small Grants program for 14 years, and that was anchored through MOEFCC. Mr. Sodhi was also awarded the Talented Conservator Award by the George Washington University, Washington, D.C., USA. He is a nominated member of various government bodies, including Waste to Wealth Mission of the Principal Scientific Advisor, Government of India. Next, we have Ms. Marina Pugcheva, Senior Management Consultant, Quality Indeed Consulting Limited, UAE. Ms. Marina has a career spanning to different industries, including hospitality, finance, media, and manufacturing. She is a circular economy advocate and enthusiast who designed and delivered several training sessions on the circular economy locally in the UAE and regionally. Involved into project on circular economy in built environment in the UAE, she has also co-authored several articles on circular economy. Our third speaker is Dr. Aparajita. Dr. Aparajita is the head communications in Namo E-Waste, Namo E-Waste Management Limited. And Dr. Aparajita has over 9 years of experience and a PhD focused on e-waste management and the circular economy. She has tackled real-world sustainability challenges working on government-funded projects with CPCB and CST. Her research has taken her to major e-waste hubs across India. She is recently honored with an award by the Vishvesvaraya Industrial and Technological Museum, a unit of the NCSM under the Ministry of Culture, Government of India. Our fourth speaker of the day is Mr. Ankit Kapasi, ESG and Sustainability Lead, DSS+. Ankit has been involved in various critical projects during his tenure. He played an important role in developing the European ELV directive, an essential step toward enhancing end-of-life vehicle management. In the context of India, Ankit's contribution to e-waste, plastics, and batteries management showcases his nuanced understanding of the local environment landscape. Venturing beyond borders, Ankit's commitment extends to establishing a groundbreaking e-waste and ELV management facility in Côte d'Ivoire, emphasizing the importance of tailored solutions to regional challenges. Additionally, his efforts in textile recycling in Lesotho underscore a holistic approach to sustainability that transcends geographical boundaries. A standout achievement in Ankit's career is the initiation of India's first solar waste recycling pilot, the Solar Waste Action Plan. This project not only addresses the burgeoning issue of solar waste, but also sets a precedent for sustainable practices in emerging sectors. I welcome everyone, all the speakers today. Thank you for sparing some time for our webinar. Thanks a lot for coming today.
Thank you, Surbhi.
Now, as we move ahead into this interesting session, I'm delighted to introduce our esteemed moderator, Dr. Sudhanshu Joshi, coordinator of the PM Gati Shakti Center of Excellence at the School of Management, Doon University. Dr. Sudhanshu is a PhD holder in supply chain management, certified Lean Six Sigma Black Belt, and Discipline Agile Scrum Master. Dr. Sudhanshu is also a visiting professor at the University of Technology, Sydney, Australia, with an impressive research portfolio encompassing sustainable supply chains, AI, circular economy, Industry 4.0, 5.0, and more. Thank you, Dr. Sudhanshu, for joining us, and the stage is yours.
Thank you so much. And a very interesting topic for today, and welcome all. I request Vinil contractor to please, mute himself. Right. So let me start the discussion, and we have with us Marina. So let me start with her. It will be interesting to ask our foreign speaker to start with. Marina, since you have multiple experiences when it comes to now working with a number of industries, and circular economy is something is common that you experienced. So how you see the principles of circular economy are affecting multiple industries, and what is common in between, and what could be the possible, unique challenges you have witnessed out of your experience? So can you please enlighten on the challenges that you have faced while working with multiple industries?
Sure, thank you. Yeah, in fact, many interesting things are happening in different industries. So since I recently dived more into construction building, so I can probably give more examples from there. So here in the Middle East, we have this hot and dry desert climate, right? This is our unique challenge here. So because hotter it is outside, more we need to cool down our homes, right? And that is obviously energy use. But at the same time, we are blessed here with the full year sunny days, right? So solar energy is quite broadly used for buildings. Now about 25 to 27% of all energy come from renewable resources. Maybe not that technical, but also effective insulation also works very well. That's how we reduce the energy use in buildings, right? So and everything that prevents the heating from outside and also loss of cool air from inside. So you will see all types of shadings. You will see the window glass is like designed in such a way that it reduces heat, but increases the light. So we use less air conditioning and less electricity light. Many such buildings are there in Masdar City. Masdar City is a great development in Abu Dhabi. It's like a sustainable buildings hub. Now, even the way the buildings are oriented, on the street, they are built in a way like along the like a typical wind flow. So you naturally feel cooler outside, and again use less air conditioning. What are the things? The 3D printing, that is a technology is implemented now. We have the biggest 3D printed building here in the UAE, in Dubai. So what happens, like at the end of life of this building, so all of it will be crushed into small granular, and it can be fed back into 3D printer and then can be reused again. Another model as a product as a service model is getting implemented. That is very interesting. About a month ago, one of the largest construction developers here in Abu Dhabi, Aldar Properties, they started this project, cooling as a service. So now instead of buying air conditioning systems for their buildings, they purchase cooling service instead. So in this case, the provider keeps the ownership of the AC, maintains it well, and also deal with it at the end of its life, right? So the developer does not need to deal with this waste, and that is also expect to reduce carbon footprint by about 30%. That's what I can see a lot of different interesting things happening in the construction industry right now.
That's really great, actually. And you gave us the a 360-degree view on, how the construction industry is taking care of circularity. So let us get to e-waste now. And we have with us Parijita Singh, and being a person who is into e-waste related business and disposal of, e-waste through circularity, and serving a management company, Namo E-Waste. What you have witnessed, I mean, when it comes to, doing e-waste management, it requires extensive research also. And you have to come out with new, avenues every time. New innovations are required, when it comes to disposing of or coming up with a closed loop supply chain. And getting, value out of e-waste is something, is a great challenge these days. So out of your experience, how you actually give us a kind of, innovative approach or set of innovative approach when it comes to disposing e-waste or getting value out of it. So, Dr.
Yeah.
Singh, yeah.
Yeah, thank you for your question. Actually, yes, we as a recycler we face lot of challenges because the first of all the thing is to convince companies or to convince RWAs to give their electronic waste to us. Okay, so sometimes we also think like if we talk about a general public, like even for it applicable for us also, these things like they have some sentimental value for us. Okay, like we got this phone like from our first salary, or my dad gave this mobile phone, etc. So first of all the thing is like what challenges we are facing from common man, like we need to tell them like we need to dispose them off, okay, properly. Okay, it's not like we are keeping them with us as a memento. No, things doesn't work like this. On the other hand, even the companies also they are not giving electronic waste just like that. Okay, so we need to convince them regarding lots of things are going on in like in this private sector and government sectors as well. So that, and also if we talk about recycling technologies, yes, the that is the major challenge we are facing because that needs extensive research and also a lot of expenses. Okay, the budget is very high to provide with the very good technologies because recycling is not like you will do in a small unit. No, a lot of thing is required because if we talk about e-waste, it has a lot of categories. Recently CPCB, like 2 3 years back, there were only around 27 products they are known as electronic waste, but now government has changed to 106 categories. In that, even the medical waste, medical equipment and devices waste also falls as a electronic waste. So now the new challenge is for us that magnets. We have MRI, okay, we have ultrasound machines, and they have the magnets, and those magnets are made up of rare earth metal. So now we need technology in India where we can extract those rare earth metals so that we can reduce mining of these rare earth metals. Okay, so now this is a new challenge for us. On the other hand, apart from e-waste, if we talk about battery also, so recyclers, even though we are getting license to recycle battery, to recycle medical waste, to recycle e-waste, we need to do extensive research continuously so that we can dispose them off easily. So the only propaganda what we are having, we need time, we need space, and also we need government support from this. So that is the only issue what we are facing as of now. Thank you.
Thanks a lot. Thank you. Thank you. I think understanding that e-waste is having, a lot of, when it comes to the dictionary of e-waste, lot many of new entries are
It's
coming
a
up.
ocean.
This ocean is becoming an
Yes.
ocean nowadays.
Yeah.
So the treatment is, there is no thumb rule as such, and we need to develop some, I believe that use cases and coming up with the possible solutions could be a better way of handling e-waste.
Mm.
Right. Thank you, Dr. Singh.
Yes.
So we have with us Mr. Prabhjot Sodhiji, who is a moderator and with the Center of Environmental Education and has a very, very vast, 4-decade experience. So I'm coming to you, Prabhjot Sodhiji, and the question is related to your understanding about an experience with the stakeholders, multiple stakeholders. And sir, when it comes to trade-off, between profit and sustainability, and integrating circular economy approaches to the corporates which are making profit, how you see stakeholders getting the best of the deal that companies are doing for managing sustainability with profitability. So what is the thumb rule, sir? I mean, when it comes to managing the show, how a company which is into value generation can make a good sustainable and profitable business?
Okay, can you hear me?
Yes, yes.
Okay, firstly, thank you, Surabhi, for your kind introductions and giving the opportunity to be with all the colleagues here on the panel and those who are watching. Let me, Sudhanshu, let me begin with one very simple rules. Often we make things very complex and run around them to solve the problem. Let's keep it very simple and understand. When you said business models for profitability and sustainability, profitability is a must for any business to sustain. You would appreciate and agree, I believe so. And only thing we are worried and concerned is not to be profiteering. That means at the cost of environment, we give it a toss and just go for only earning money. So that is the first thumb rule. So we have to keep the environmental, the compliances, the issues which are affecting the society at large, that needs to be taken care. In today's economic and geopolitical landscape, I'm talking from a macro perspective, the fear is that there is a shift to a rapid era of globalization, which is happening, and the trade is fragmenting. So the companies are running in order to get hold of that piece of profit, and in that they are compromising on certain ethics and issues. This age of transformation is leading to sort of, I wouldn't say lose the context of sustainability, but certainly the sustainability is kept at a lower priority. We are wanting to earn profit and profit and profit. So there are several measures which need to be taken care in order to produce better sustainability and profits at the same time. I would give you one example of India, and I was there yesterday at one of the FICCI functions, where also Mr. Amitabh Kant raised this issue. The example is that, India has a high extraction rate. It's about 1,600 tons per acre, and global average is about 480 to 500 tons per acre. So what we are doing is we are going for a higher extraction. And when you are extracting, there is a lot of waste which is happening. And the purity of the element or the product which you are getting out ranges about 40 to 60, maximum 70%. And whereas if you go into the recycling, why the issue about circularity has come up very well in the last 10 years. Can you hear me?
We can hear you, sir.
Okay.
No issue.
Why the context of this circularity has come very strong all over the world in the last 10 years or 6 years, even though the figures say it is 9 to 10% circular economy in the world across all materials. So the point which I was trying to mention was that if the extraction rate is at 70%, materials, the growth has to take place. The materials need to be brought back into the system. And how they will be brought back into the system, whether it's lithium, whether it's any element, ferrous, non-ferrous metals, used oils, we have no choice but to look into the avenues of recycling, refurbishing, upcycling, whatever you say. When you are doing all this, the purity of the element you are extracting goes to 90%. So the cost is lower, the energy used is lower, the emissions are lower, the CO2 effects are lower. So this is really driving the circular economy. But the issue is people are not still talking about the extraction rates through the recovery processes. And I think so that's what one needs to really talk. This is going to push the circular economy in a very stronger way. I would give you one more point and then I will close. The most important points in the circular sustainability framework. Of course, we understand economic, social, and societal and environmental. We have to have the economy's ability to ensure that the trade takes place in a way that there is a less use of carbon emissions within the system. And that hallmark, we have to see how the export diversification takes place. I'm talking a macro level policy issue here. And countries are moving for that. Each one is talking. And, Marina talked about, and the other colleague talked about, Aparajita, about the infrastructure. So the government of India is really, I would say, very strongly pushing these issues and approaches where resource efficiency takes place. 11 sectors committees were there. I'm a member to all 11 sector committees for circular economy. The government has come out with EPRs. There has been never had such open deliberations on extended producer responsibilities as for plastics. And the EPR on used oils, lubricants has been so fast and simple. And that has come out within 6 months. I think credit to the government of India and the scientists who are working around them. So people are coming, scrapping policy we have. I tell you the number of policies which are coming, I fall short of how to handle that and put that in a sequence in my thinking process. I sometimes feel I'm out of the place. I just cannot move into it. So I think congratulations to the government of India for that. The other thing I want to talk about the societal, the social factors that contribute to the economy in trade internationally have to be with a long-term thinking. When we go with the short-term returns, that really puts up. We have to ensure that the labor standards are there. People are getting equitable wages. People are considered equitably. That's what I mean. Whether it's terms of wages, whether it's terms of number of hours working, whether it's opportunity or loss of work. And that will lead to a greater sustainability and profitability. And the last, I think so, is the environmental issue, which I wanted to touch base. That's very important. Measures to the extent that an economy engages in trade, because there is going to be, whether you agree or I disagree, the trade has to put measures in terms of sustainability, in terms of control over pollution, how the natural resources shares are being used, depleted and rejuvenated, and how practically the resource efficiency is being done across the sectors in the industry. I think I'll close here.
Very right, sir. Very right. So balancing the equation is important when it comes to, profitability with sustainability. And sir, we really appreciate the kind of, the representation you're giving with the multiple panels when it comes to performing the ESG and other efforts that Circularity is looking out for. So we have with us Ankit, who is with ESG and sustainability related with DSS. And Ankit, I have a direct question to you, which is related to today's, theme also. And this question is about a sustainable model of consumption. So developing countries are struggling with resource, scarcity. And when it comes to coming up with circularity as the new way of living, when it comes to commercial activities as well as for societal, perspective also, how the sustainable model of consumption takes place. And what is your opinion on how we can, maintain the sustainable production and consumption for multiple resources that we are actually into? Yeah.
So thank you, Sudhanshu, for your question. I think, you mentioned emerging economies, and typically it is seen that it's more difficult for, emerging economies to be more sustainable or to be more circular. And I have seen examples, lived examples where that is not truly the case. So when you have emerging economies, when you talk about sustainable consumption, there are a variety of unique advantages that emerging economies have. First of all, we don't have the rigid legacy infrastructure that our more developed counterparts do have. So there's a potential to leapfrog any outdated technologies. Emerging markets mostly have a very vibrant informal sector, and these sectors are mostly quite good at reuse, at repair. So I think again, there is a bigger opportunity to be more sustainable over there. In emerging markets, you see more resource scarcity as well, visibly. People can see it's not available as much as you see in a more in a more developed economy. And when you see it as more of a pressing challenge, it becomes a bigger potent driver for circularity. So these will be the key reasons. There's also more innovation happening as well in emerging economies, or many emerging economies, where you look at not just innovation, but frugal innovation. So again, when you talk about sustainable consumption, sustainable production, SCP, as you call it, there is more frugality being done over here. This results in cost-effective, more accessible circular solutions, such as modular electronics. You see this across all these markets, upcycled clothing designs, and so on. Also, emerging economies provide local solutions to local problems. So they face unique challenges, such as informal waste disposal, as I said, water scarcity, and this gives birth to more localized circular solution for that sustainable consumption need. And then, of course, the whole digitization, AI, IoT, is more quickly being adopted also in many emerging markets. I talk about India as a major example, but you see many other economies doing the same. But of course, it's not all good news. There are challenges, of course, to the emerging markets when you talk about sustainable consumption. There is a lack of proper waste management infrastructure. So DG just mentioned, a lot of good policies coming up, but sometimes lack of transparency or the ability to understand what they mean for the consumers, for the industries, for the businesses, and so on. And of course, limited access to financial resources can also hinder these progress. So I think PPPs, public-private partnerships, are coming up. Innovative financing models are coming up. So I think in order to make circular economy, to incentivize circular economy, to create a level playing field with the more developed world, these enabling policies, access to markets, design forward thinking policies are all going to be required. And then consumer behavior and awareness is also one significant aspect when you talk about sustainable consumption. So that, of course, has to change over time. Educational campaigns, we see that across India. Fostering a culture of responsible consumption will be key drivers for this change. So that's my 2 cents over there, Sudhanshu.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much. So let us, move to the next question with Mr. Sodhi himself. And sir, we'd like to take your opinion on, how the government and the policy makers are supporting this transition, which is happening from linear to circular economy, and also how the incentivization of the sustainable practices are happening in production and sustainable production and consumption. So how the
Anshu, can you come back
Yes,
again
sir,
to
yes.
your question, please?
Yes, yes. The question is the role of government and the policymakers, since you are the part of them. So it's a direct question to you. So when it comes to transition, how government and policymakers are contributing when it comes to coming up with the policy measures for incentivizing the sustainable practices in production and consumption?
Okay, you have clubbed in a couple of thoughts in your same question, which is fine. But it's a joy being a party to all the discussions. You see, firstly, these are no quick fixes. One has to understand that everything is a process, and process takes time and patience around it. So government is coming up, rolling out policies. They are re-looking, they are engaging with the different stakeholders, which includes industry, which includes young minds, students, women, and from different aspects of life. So they are trying to, educational institutes, trade industry, they are coming up with a holistic view to satisfy a large chunk of these people as a whole. It's not an easy process. There cannot be one fit for all, and some are going to be benefited by more and some are going to be less. But they are trying to keep an equitable access and benefit. So when policies are being rolled out, they are being ruled out. The number of amendments you can see are happening, and that means they are pro-people, pro-industry. Otherwise, the amendments would not take place. Say, for example, let me give you two examples of this. One example, let me quote you of the plastics, since I'm deeply involved with that. Even e-waste, Aparajita can say that. Plastics. We came with a policy in 22 February. Thereafter, there were representations on certain aspects. It has been revised till today 6 times. 6 times, can you imagine? A national policy has been given amendment 6 times. So that is enough an indicator that government is not becoming obstinate, but is keen to drive the systems, what Ankit was also trying to say, in terms of its sustainability and the action and the mandate for which it is done. Say, for example, a very difficult thing which I'm not a part of the government, but of course I am enabling the process in the decision making. You see, let me give you one example. In the plastic rules, which was in October, late October last year. Before that, when we started in February, they had only 3 categories of plastic. Then later on came the biodegradability. Now the compostables were also added. And at every forum, I am trying to talk that, you see, compostables and biodegradables are fine. Oh, no, sir, there is a marking, there is a printing, everybody will read. I said, I know I've been in this process for the last 12 to 15 years. And we started putting the MRF's first decentralized system and I wrote the policy for the government. The point is that you introduce, today 30,000 metric tons is only the amount of biodegradables and compostables each, which out of the 10 million metric tons, it's a very pittance. Similar was the way when single-use plastic started. And today it has become a problem and we are having 46% of that. So one has to keep the feedback into the system. So I was telling them 2 big, quick response. I said, we have international color coding systems. And for biodegradables, if you want to bring them into the market, of course, we need to create systems of how the degradability takes place. And no, sir, it will happen. It is not going to happen. It's going to become microplastics. And it will happen in air, sir. No, this will do. Lack of proper understanding of knowledge is one thing which becomes a very big limitation. So I was telling them that on both places, you can introduce color coding. Let orange color, I'm just giving an example, let orange color, all plastics being produced in orange color is biodegradable. So the Safai Sathi, you may like it or I may like it or I may dislike. The informal sector is the backbone of our collection systems of circular economy, and they will not be obliterated in the next 100 years. And we should not do it also, because they are helping you, enabling you the mechanism And otherwise, we give access to that. That's a separate question. So similarly, for biodegradability, it can be orange, and for compostable, it can be pink. So that gives you a clear understanding. And today, in the latest law, of course, all things cannot happen in a day one, and I understand that. At least government is making impacts into the system. Many people will disagree that why are we collecting under the extended producer responsibility compostables and biodegradables against thin and multi-layer plastics, category 3. So at least government is open. Till some problem, we are trying to find a solution, but let's get it collected. Let people be responsible to get it collected. It may happen 10, it may happen 20, at least we have made a beginning. So I see it as a very, very positive example of government policies in the system of this. And government is incentivizing. There are schemes where are available. Markets and business, it is giving access to cheap credit, better technology information, greater technology access at cheaper rates is all about incentivization. We should not think that I should be given 50% of this investment to launch an industry on recycling. So I think so. I'll stop here. By the fact that these, I'll take another 1 minute. We are setting up MRFs. I've done about 30, 40, and many of the people whom I started working about 10 years back, today each one of them has done 5 or 10 places. And when they came in contact with me, their turnover was 10 lakhs, 20 lakhs, 30 lakhs. Today they are all running in 25 crores, 100 times more. Just imagine. And that's the beauty of circular economy, increasing incomes, increasing jobs, and increasing efficiency in material use. And that's where we are going to happen. Things are going to grow. I think I'll stop here. Thanks, please.
Sir, if I'm not mistaken, yesterday also in FICCI you tried to make them understand the same thing about biodegradable plastic, right, sir?
Yes.
Yeah, so I heard the same thing from you, like about like you were discussing about like they have to put the colors on the plastics so that they can
Yeah,
like, yeah,
absolutely. We
exactly.
have international color coding systems.
Yes,
And
yes.
this international, I'm not saying stop biodegradables, stop compostables, bring
Mhm.
them, but try and understand that the people who are picking them up, they are not literate with
Yes.
the fortunateness of the God that we have got. If they would have
Mhm.
been born in my family or your family, they would have been the same as you and me.
Yeah,
So we have to see how the less fortunate are being brought into the ambit of development processes.
exactly, exactly.
So true, so true. So let us, accelerate this question to Dr. Singh itself, because being, on the so we Dr. Sodhi has spoke about PPP, model, and Ankit also supported the argument. So it's a very, very critical these days because government has there's a deficit of funds sometimes, so private parties can join hand. And when it comes to e-waste collection, primarily it's a very successful model in place like the state I belong. It's very successful for collection of waste from the household. But when it comes to e-waste, right, PPP model is also can be played, could be the solution to the problem. So as per your understanding, how critically the PPP model can give more success of e-waste collection and value creation out of the e-waste. So what's your opinion on this, Dr. Singh?
See, actually, as you mentioned, it's a very profitable business, no doubt in that. But sometimes we need to see like what we discussed about government help or fundings. Okay. So even those companies can come forward and help these businesses. Okay. So like I belong to this e-waste industry now. It's been 10 years. I'm working in industries and I know like I have seen like they are supporting because they want to know more. They want to understand more. As Sodhi sir said, like this EPR model is very strong these days. Okay, and they had the government has implemented very strongly for all the producers and manufacturers. So yes, so together they have to work and they have to support each other. So like I will definitely support this thing, and along with PPP, even the government is also playing a very pivotal role in supporting these businesses, because even the government knows if it's not today, then it's never, because we are the one who are facing. If we discuss about a decade back, no one was aware about what is this e-waste. When I started my PhD, even I was a little bit confused, like why I am doing my PhD in electronic waste management. Okay, so the things are coming up. Okay, now if we talk about next 10 years, okay, so everyone has to work together. It can be triple P, it can be government, it can be all the recyclers. They have to work together to develop new phase, to develop this world. Otherwise, there will be a nothing will be left on this, because as Marina mentioned, the carbon footprint, okay, the carbon credits, even they are also playing a very important role in all the organization. Government in upcoming years, even in India also, this carbon footprint, carbon credit calculation will be mandatory, and the recyclers will be providing those things. So we also need help from these triple P companies, so that we can work together and associate for a better future.
Right. So
The
true.
part of a sustainability, yes.
Yes, yes. So let us quickly come to Marina on this. Marina, out of your extensive experience you have, uh, we wish to request you for sharing some sort of use cases when it comes to circular economy practices, the challenges you have faced, especially when it comes to the waste collection and ensuring the sustainability through those cases.
Sure. Maybe one more example from construction industry, if you allow me. It's actually, it's actually very, very important, because now in the Middle East, we are in construction boom. Okay, I'm sitting now in my room. I'm looking in the window. I can see 3 crane and 3 buildings under construction here. And construction is actually responsible for about half of all the solid waste generated. Yeah, if you take all the waste on the planet, so 50% of it from construction, when we build, and especially when we demolish buildings, right? So here in Abu Dhabi, we have an organization called Al Dafra Recycling Industries and Tadweer, that's a waste management company. So they process all the demolished concrete, asphalt, those excavation materials, and they successfully reused for roads and other infrastructure. What else come to my mind is car tires. That's a big source of waste. That is also Tadweer, that a waste management company takes care of. So they recycle car tires with a capacity of about 8,000 kg per hour. They're able to recycle, and this rubber is reused, for like this jogging tracks, for like children playgrounds. So that is a big success story here. Also, there is automated waste sorting technology here in the UAE. So also about 1.5 tons per day. It is sensor based, so the sorting of waste happens automatically. So a lot of things happen around waste management, but honestly, I'm personally more excited to see when our when our thinking will shift towards design, actually, when we put more thinking into, okay, how do we make the products that do not generate waste in the first place, instead of dealing with this waste when it is already there. So I think that the heart of circular economy actually is in design, and as soon as we shift our thinking there, more successful we will be.
Thank you so much. Construction industry is something is getting best benefit out of the circular economy practices, and it's a great sandbox also. So let us accelerate our discussion to Ankit, and Ankit being a person who is being the part of, India's first solar waste recycling pilot project, solar waste action plan. So directly to you, sir, and the question is more related to the challenges that you and the organization has faced when we were implementing solar waste action plan, and how other industries can, cope their circular economy challenges out of the experience we had in solar waste action plan.
Thank you, Sudhanshu. So, for those of you here who don't know what it is, I'll just give a quick 1-2 line summary of this solar waste action plan. This was basically a pilot funded by Signify Foundation, previously Philips Lighting, and Doon Foundation, where we looked at how a 2-ton-a-day pilot facility can be set up in India. And we piloted different technologies, mechanical, chemical, thermal, and then implemented the mechanical one in India quite successfully so as well. And Sudhanshu, of course, asked about the challenges, but given we are at the beginning of a new year, let me start with some successes as well. I think, it was a bit of both. And maybe on a positive note, I think a lot of opportunities or successes over here potentially for India as a whole. Several million tons of solar waste is out there. More of that is expected in the years to come. We were surprised to find out, there was far more. Typically, you think, there's a 25-year cycle, a 20-year cycle when you'll see this waste coming out. But a huge percentage of it comes during life as well. During production, all that is wasted. During use, a lot of companies, I think this is changing rapidly, but during use as well, a lot of companies find newer technologies, newer panels, more efficient panels, smoothly, efficiently remove the old ones because the newer ones are far more financially lucrative. What you're asking Prabjotji earlier on, financial profitability and sustainability. And unfortunately, a lot of these companies were not reusing them. It was easier to discard. So a lot of waste came from there as well. So I think there is a huge amount of waste. I think a huge opportunity over there for anyone, Dr. Aparajita and, Namo and all these e-waste recyclers already doing a great amount of work. Huge opportunity there. With the right technology, you can recycle up to 95%. So we were able to extract up to 78 to 80%, depending on the batch. These were very, very old panels. We were, of course, short of a budget a little bit, but up to 95% is possible for a solar panel as well. There's a huge downstream market. Everyone from, the original solar glass manufacturer to bangle makers in North India are very keen to get the glass back. Aluminum, there's a huge market, of course, and the other high value fractions as well. With the right quality, it's possible to then reuse it back and go fully circular as well. But of course, through all of this, you can create less waste. There's less burning because a lot of this was openly burnt as well, less landfilling. You use less resources, of course, new virgin resources by being circular. And that is the basic principle of circularity. As a circular economy professional, what we say, me and my colleagues is let's refuse to call anything as waste until it truly is. Until then, let's call it a secondary resource. The moment you do that, you think of it as a resource, a secondary resource, you can find a use of it. But of course, as you asked, there were challenges as well. India is not a small country. And of course, with the pilot being set up in Chennai, if we had waste to be transported from Kolkata, Rajasthan, and many other northern parts of the country, our biggest challenge was the transport cost, often being far more than the actual cost of processing. And who bears the cost? Unclear regulation. There is some more clarity. It is now, within the e-waste regulations, yet, there are solar waste manufacturers, OEMs, who don't know what to do with it. The informal sector, whilst they are humongously useful, I think they have a huge role to play, but with the way they operate can be a big challenge as well. They take away all the valuables, leave behind what is very difficult to process, and makes it a big challenge. So I always say, let's not formalize the informal sector. Let's incorporate the informal sector. And that works in, African context as well, where we do a lot of the work. And then the investment versus returns, not easy right now. I think as the EPR model fully develops, this could become easier. The investment is not large, but because of the many, many operational expenditure, that is one other major challenge as well. So that has been, a very, very fruitful experience we did. We started with a desk-based study and did an actual study. So we have actual figures as to how we can make this operational. I hope that addresses your question.
Thank you
I
so
I
much.
just
see,
want to
I see
add to
some
Ankit.
questions. Yes, yes, please.
We have a
Ankit,
very
beautifully put together. Fantastic, man. I've yet to see a good solar recycling. I'm going to run down to Chennai to see one. And you are proving the point. I was trying to say that extraction, you don't get the purity of the element, and recovery to that extent, what you said, 90% in various elements. So I think so. And 2 million metric tons of solar waste has come over in last year. And the figure is rising. People don't even know. There is so much of knowledge gap, education.
Yeah.
People don't even know that. They think solar panel is going to give them the recovery for the right day one until the 20 years.
So true.
Anyway,
I believe that what Sodhi Saab has raised is equally good for the suppliers as well. I mean, sensitizing people is important. Like one of our, one of the audience, he asked one question that the projected value of solar waste, which is obviously it is like, exponentially because of the usage of solar waste, solar, panels everywhere as a part of, UREDA's scheme is coming up like anything. And in the projection by next 5-10 years, it will be a kind of huge amount. But his worry is about the e-waste collectors, recyclers. So they are less in numbers. So how the demand supply, is going to be, matched. So this is
Collection.
to get initially. Yeah.
So,
Sorry, sir. Yeah.
So I would say just very quickly, of course, Dr. Singh over here comes from the industry, and Prabjot, of course, has worked pretty extensively in the sector. E-waste recyclers, there was a huge number, and they were
Yes.
shrunk down eventually because not everyone is, working or facilitating
Exactly.
this transition as the likes of Namo e-waste are as well. So I think this is a very tricky industry. A lot of people want to get into it because of the whole EPR model, but those who can truly do the circularity or extraction as the right technologies should allow them to do are few and far between. That's why the numbers are low. I think they are sufficient. They are, CPCB has a vision as to how to grow them, but of course they want to make sure the right number of and right type of businesses are doing the operations rather than what could be seen as often seedy and shady. But I'll let the experts, of course, come in on that who might know about a lot more than I do. Thank you.
Thank you, Ankit. It was actually correct. There are a lot of e-waste recyclers, okay, but for we can say fortunately for us and unfortunately, like because of the government rules and norms, okay, many of recyclers has been shut down because they were lacking proper technologies and infrastructure. You cannot just open your recycling unit in a one room. Okay, the technology should be there, infrastructure should be there, and you should prove yourself. Yes, you are a genuine recycler, because there are people working in informal sector. Okay, there was a huge mafia of informal sector which is still running in India, even though there are 700 recyclers. Okay, if we see CPCB website, there are 700 approved recyclers which are doing proper recycling in India, but still it's a long way to go. Thank
Excuse
you.
me.
In
I
contrary,
have a point here,
Tilwani
Doctor.
Saab, please.
Yeah. You see, if I just look back, if you really don't mind me saying, 70 to 80% of the conversation is still going on around waste management and recycling. But if you revisit the core principles of circular economy is design and material selection. So I would really request the panelists to give us some insights around fundamental paradigm shift in thinking needed in the industry to design products and services which support the principle of circular economy. I mean, this reverse logistics is today circular economy has become equal to recycling. Then we are back to square one. Thank you.
Yeah. In contrary, like Dr. Singh was talking about, the informal sector is growing like anything, although we are not able to tap much on that. And I have a question to Mr. Sodhi on this. Like waste pickers are, they are the core, building block of whole circular economy framework. So how how we can involve them more, and what could be the possible way of conversion of their informal entity into the formal one, so that they could be the part of our sustainable landscape also.
Okay, you have raised two issues, involve more and how they can contribute. But before that, I would run back to what Sunilji was trying to say. Yes, unfortunately, we led into the way we were putting our thoughts together. But what you said, the basic three principles of transformation to a circular economy, designing out waste and pollution, reducing that is one of the core fundamentals. And the second, of course, what you said, keeping products and material in use and choosing the right materials for the production as well. And thirdly, regenerating the natural resource systems. So your three principles in one word, which you said, are very important. And people are thinking, in fact, the project which I'm doing right now is with HDFC Bank support. We are setting up MRFs and MRCs, material recycling centers with the urban local bodies. First time in India, we are trying to make the urban local bodies understand that, look, MRF is not the answer. It is just a sorting center. We have to get into a multiple MRF, which includes solar, used oil, electronics, plastic. There can be separate rooms around them, rubber and tire, what Marina was saying. And we have EPR for all of these, prevalent in India now. And we have to get into the recycling and then the inject molding, the production line, and using the right material in order to really correct the natural resource systems back into the place without taking virgin materials inside. So that people are focusing, but somehow the other it may have been missed in. But you are very right that these aspects are there. But coming back to Sudhanshu, and thanks, sir. That was a very, very good intervention, what you just said. And Sudhanshu, involve more informal sectors. Are we really trying to involve them? We are simply setting them aside. Sorry, my way of thinking may be a bit radical, but I want to be constructive and positive to all the team members as they have been. We have to really see how we can give them better inclusivity. हमने काम ULBs के साथ करना क्यों शुरू किया? Why we started working with ULBs was of this reason, what you just said. How we can create, who is going to give them identity cards? It's the ULB. Who is going to give them transportation permits when they are coming in through COVID times? Waste was generated in much more. Who is going to give them better health conditions? They are all living through the health hospitals of the municipal corporations. They do the health camps. They have the facilities, everything. So we want to create that mistrust relationship which is existing. So what Aparjita and Ankit and Marina are all trying to say, and so was the gentleman Sunil, that we have to build that trust relationship which will bring the informality into formal systems. I have myself seen in 2004, I was working with Moser, a project where that time Moser CD compact discs are made of ABS, which is a high valued polymer. And this was being thrown all over. So we were trying to see how to recover that ABS. And people were children, 5-year-olds were using hydrochloric acids to remove that and then bring back that ABS and sell it for 20 rupees, 30 rupees, whereas the market price was 70 rupees. So getting to understand what the problems are of the informal sector will help us to encapsulate them in the part of the system. Simply saying कि informal को formal बना दो नहीं होगा. I'm not saying that you are saying that, but many times people say, "Arey, let's take the informal to formal," without understanding their limitations and boundaries which are existing around them. We really have no choice but to. They will stick to the informal ways of working because by the end of the day they need money coming back. Sometimes I keep asking. Sorry, going a minute longer. Sometimes I keep asking, the inflation rate is hitting at every sector of the society, but is the benefits and the income increasing being the same across all sections of society? No. You see the informal sector, you do the cross analysis, and you will see the rate of inflation they are going to meet with the same kitty. It's becoming enormously difficult. And working with the informal sectors, we don't deduct any payments. We just give them the same, and you have to put a better value to them, maybe a rupee higher. That will help them to come inside the whole system. If we can take that bit to bring them, then our circulatory processes will go very well, because the material will be brought back and that will be put to better use. And people like Ankit will open up 100 more such projects, and those will be funded by many other people. We need good technologists, we need good processes, we need good systems. I think I'll close here.
It's very, very, I mean, these criteria are essentially important. So, clubbing up the points that you actually mentioned and Thandwani sir has suggested, like design, he was talking about supply chain designs, and when it comes to closed loop supply chain, it plays a very important role. So, let me take Dr. Singh on this, and my question is related to how the e-waste hubs, which are experimented and being established in India, can be scaled up for other developing countries, because India being a larger sandbox, we are able to get more use cases. We can get them documented also. So how the recycling and the sustainable experiences that we have in India can be further re-instrumentized and can be placed into countries like Bangladesh or Nepal somewhere, and how the global global scalability of the e-waste practices can be held. So what is your opinion and policy recommendation on that, Dr. Singh?
See, if we talk about India, India is also a developing country right now. Okay, so there are lots of framework and the policies are like being working as told by the Sodi sir. Like India is doing a lot in this field. Okay, although the people, those who are involved in this field, can feel this thing. Okay, if you talk to a common man, maybe they are not aware of such policies. So the same initiatives can be taken in the other developing countries. If the government is involved in all these things like importing and exporting. For example, in India also previously, electronic waste being imported easily. Okay, so it's for the dumping yard. Okay, for the developed nations. But now the transboundary law has stopped this thing. You cannot easily import your waste to India until unless it is for recycling purpose, a proper recycling or a proper refurbishment or a proper research. Okay, then only then also there are lots of terms and conditions developed nation has to follow. So if India can take these types of initiative, okay, it's a like, as we mentioned, it's a like we are the huge populated country now, the maybe like it's on top now. So the Bangladesh, Pakistan, Sri Lanka, all these countries can take these small initiative and can help their countries to fight against electronic waste, or they can sign policies between countries, like although like this G20 summit also, it's a financial summit, so there are lots of summits and there are lots of conferences going on where the government meet each other. So they can also discuss in these things like how to initiate to reduce pollution, to increase sustainability. And one more thing I would like to add here, like if we talk about design, right? So main the manufacturers has to think about the designs. Okay, what being a recycler issues we face if the content of hazardous metal or a harmful metal are high, we are not having that particular technology which we can recycle it properly. So sometimes those hazardous metal has to go to the landfills. Okay, so we have like now, previously if we talk, we only had 3R: reduce, reuse and recycle. But now there are number of R's which we say. The first R starts with rethink and redesign. Okay, that is for manufacturers. Okay, so from there the circularity starts. Okay, if they are rethinking, they are redesigning, we recyclers are ready to recycle it and put back into the supply chain. Thank you.
Yeah, very sensible answer. Thank you so much. So let us take to Marina, and Marina being a person who is into lot of development project at UAE and broader areas. So what is your experience and the key challenges that we are witnessing in UAE when it comes to circular economy practices? And one more thing, which is what actually the model that we try to instrumentize through the learning we have in UAE and other places. Can we use those particular learnings for better customer dealing? So I wish to mix two questions. One is basically the experience in UAE, and second is how we can make more customer friendly products out of it when it comes to even in the construction industry also. So, what's your opinion on this, Marina?
Okay. Yeah, so about the challenges, as the conversation came to, and rightly said that many people perceive circular economy here as well as a recycling of waste. So this is itself is a challenge, right? So we build waste management facilities, and then waste becomes their business. So it's like, more waste is kind of better for them. And at the same time, we continue producing this single-use plastics, or continue generally making products without thinking, okay, what happens to this at the end of its life, so instead of building this usual buildings, can we make them dismantleable, like a Lego, for example, right? Instead of demolishing them at the end of their life. So this requires knowledge, this requires competency, this requires design thinking. This is the challenge, and so at the moment it is very limited. At the moment, even awareness is very limited. So we address this by doing trainings, workshops for organizations, for public webinars, right? Another challenge is the whole ecosystem is not developed. So let's say we have a product, let's say anything, it can be a building, as I'm in construction industry today, can be anything, take a furniture or whatever. So we have this product, it's no longer needed, and we genuinely want to reduce the reuse the materials, not to throw them, right? But then if we don't know what exactly the material is in this product, we cannot reuse it, right? So then we need material passports, right? Where all this information about the materials used in the building will be recorded. And so if these material passports are not in the industry, they're not adopted in the industry, they're not available, we cannot do anything with all our good intentions, so lack of regulations, of course, like financial part of it, right? So all this needs investments, and it's not clear what is the return on this investments at the moment, what are the financial benefits. So all these are challenges. When it comes to customer friendly products, I mean, again, I would talk here about the ecosystem, right? So I'm as a consumer, I supposed to keep my my things in use as long as possible. I'll tell you, if I want to repair anything right now, I simply have no shops available for repair, again, like so if we create that ecosystem that allows me to rent instead of buying, allows me to repair instead of throwing away, it's much easier for me to click one thing in Amazon and tomorrow get a shiny box, then go and search for a repair shop. So all of this is not supporting a circular economy at the moment. Even like the success of the organizations is about more sale, right? More they're selling, more successful they are, and sometimes I feel absolutely, I feel like I cannot do anything with that, and so that ecosystem needs to be created for our customers. That's my opinion on that.
So can we do you think that we required some sort of standardization when it comes to particularly in the construction industry for a sustainable consumption purpose? So few certification or standardization could be a great help.
Yeah, obviously. Of course, yes. So that's what we successfully developed now, the regulations, the guidelines for buildings. What exactly we should do so the building is circular. It's like it's a document that we develop with straight points. What we can do to build this circular buildings. Standardization will definitely
So
help.
let us thank you so much, Marlena. Thank you. And let us take the last two questions one question to Dr. Sodhi and one question to Mr. Ankit. And the question is more about the role of education institutions, and because we find that sensitizing people is important, and one of the critical stakeholders are the learners, the students, the members of the faculties. So out of my personal interest, I'm asking this question to Sodhi Saab initially. What do you think, sir? Do you think that the education institutions plays an important role? Of course, yes. And how we can help ourselves by educating them to understand and impart further circular consumption principles. So what is your opinion on this?
But before I answer your question, I'm going to request our ICCE team that we should share each other's telephone numbers and email IDs so that we can be in contact to each other. Sudhanshu, I mean, there is no two views about it that the educational institutions have always played a greater role in shaping the society. And to embrace the principles of circular consumption, I think so. It's a valued way forward. And educational institutions like yourself and ICCE, right now, what you're doing, you're educating people. You will put it on the YouTube. It will be read by many. Many will say, oh, this man has said wrongly. Sodhi doesn't know about it. It's fine. But it is putting value to the sustainability and the students at young age. I think so. We should really impart training programs to the students through the educational institutions, because they hold a sort of a degree of certification that they are, Doon society and a smaller educational institution, there is a variance of performance. And that's what is important. So I think so. Good institutions, good material, good people should come forward and start talking and bringing that loop to it. I'll give you one example of it. About 15 years back, I know one of the secretaries from the Government of India very well, from the Consumer Affairs Ministry, Mr. Him Pandey. I don't mind taking his name. I mean, he introduced fantastic measures. Jago, Grahak Jago, which started before maybe him or, today we all realize that यार labeling पढ़ना है. 10 साल पहले किसी को पता ही नहीं होता था labeling क्या होता है. What is labeling? Labeling is a form of standards which has been given to a product for its use and welcome. What Marina was trying to say, yes, we need to have standards, green building standards. There are which are there for construction. Similarly, consumers awareness initiatives. I think so. Institutions, educational institutions really should take up these sort of things in bringing out. Now, I want to buy, this is a phone I'm carrying, the plastic cover. It is made of 100% virgin, I believe so. But if it is made of, I want to buy a cover which is having 50% of recycled material in it. So there has to be a labeling to all this. Things are going to happen very soon. It's already on the cards. And I think so more the people like Ellen MacArthur Foundation, they are putting circular economy courses to schools and colleges and global communities. ICCE itself is doing, we should bring in NGOs, self-help groups. We are even talking to informal system. उनको बताते हैं तो दे डोंट अंडरस्टैंड सर्कुलरिटी ना ही इसका हिंदी का मेरे को नहीं समझ आता क्या नाम है मैं भूल जाता हूँ आई फॉरगेट सॉरी बेग द पार्डन मरीना आई डोंट अंडरस्टैंड एंड रिकलेक्ट द नेम इन हिंदी बट certainly we have to bring these as stakeholder platforms and they should be run in series. European Circular Economy Stakeholders Platform is there. They are talking on many other things. All in all, awareness brings conscious efforts to habit change. And that's where it is going to do.
Yes.
I think I'll close it.
That's true. That's true. That's true. Thank you so much, sir. Thanks for your opinion. And my last question to Ankit is about the same. I'm at much a bigger level and for a cross-sectional, cross-sector collaboration. I mean, when it comes to, circular economy and for a collective responsibility when it comes to sustainable production and consumption, SPC. So it is only possible when we join hand each other, when it is happening when we have cross-sector collaborations, so that the knowledge exchange can be possible among the industries, across the industries, and circular economy initiatives which are primarily very much, appreciated at the local or regional level, maybe have them global, understanding, maybe they will be create a global impact also. So what's your opinion on this? Do you think that cross-sector collaborations are possible? If yes, how we can go? What could be the roadmap? And what's the way ahead? Over to you, Ankit.
Thanks again, Sudhanshu. So just building on what Sodhi sir mentioned earlier, you mentioned the role of education. And for me, when you look at the Western world, you look at Europe and US, education institution, research institution are an integral part of industries. Their growth does not happen if research institutions do not play the role they need to play. They provide the new technology, they provide the new brains and the new generation who actually go and do this work in the industry. So I think in that sense, in that traditional sense of the word education, but then there's also the non-traditional sense, which is awareness. That is education in a way, but that is also very, very important. You can, without actually sitting in a traditional classroom, spread awareness about not the complicated terminology of circularity, but the fundamentals of it. I think unless everyone involved really plays their part, circularity in that sense won't happen. Going back to what was discussed about design thinking, because circularity begins on day one of conceptualization of a product, when you have a prototype being drawn and designed with artificial reality, augmented reality, virtual reality. You can have it drawn on a computer without having manufactured it and not have the cost of having used the resources. So circularity begins from them. It's that design thinking, right up to, of course, end of life, as we call it, or the potential to bring it back to life. So that whole thing, education sector plays a humongous role over there. And I would definitely, second Sodhi sir's really thoughts on this, making it not just knowledge, but a habit. You'll move out of a room. The smallest things is turning off the tube light. I still say I've been in the field for 22 years, not as much as, many of you over here. But I say this for 22 years. This is a small thing, but this is where it starts. Talking about cross-sectoral collaboration or working between industries, one very common terminology used, this is defined or coined by United Nations, UNIDO, who call it industrial symbiosis or industrial synergy. And this is where companies come together, basically refusing to let anything go to waste. You consider something as a process, a box, anything going in. If one is going in, one must come out. And that is your raw material, including your energy, your compressed air. And if it isn't, as a sum of total, where are you losing it? And how do you be more circular with yourself, within your own company, your own premises, or with neighboring communities? How can you be industrial symbiotic with other companies? And that is a significant measure for industries to take. There's shared infrastructure, there's utility synergies. I won't go into the technical terminologies of all this, but food waste from restaurants are composted. We have done the very basic thing used as fertilizer in agriculture, and that is an example of two different industries coming together or converted to biogas for energy production. Again, two different industries. Collaborative investment in waste management infrastructure is also one other way. When companies say we can't afford an infrastructure, why can't several companies with similar needs come together? There are some very interesting tools and techniques to identify such synergies or symbiosis. And again, of course, happy to share with anyone who's interested, but it allows you to identify synergies using byproducts, using waste, or using company type. You can identify, what is it that you typically use and who else might be producing it as a raw material or a waste. So basically going as circular as possible, not within your own company, but within the local economy as well. So that's on circular economy. There's the whole idea of resource efficiency within that as well. Good collaboration can help with the development of a closed loop supply chain where materials are kept in use for as long as possible through, as I think Dr. Singh mentioned, repair, reuse, beyond recycling. So going through now what we call the R ladder rather than the hierarchy, it is now the R ladder. And this will reduce the extraction of virgin resources. So cross-sectoral partnerships are going to be extremely important to accelerate, if you like, the development, the adoption of new technologies. And, for example, collaboration between IT and manufacturing sectors. I've seen this recently. We are working on a project in Moldova that led to the creation of many intelligent systems which optimize the resource use in the production process. So service sectors, manufacturing sector also coming together, not necessarily two resource-intensive industries. So on that note, again, I'm going to stop over here, but happy to elaborate if required. Thank you.
So nice of you, Ankit ji. Very much insightful. And I personally, on behalf of Doon University, a Center of Excellence, and myself, really thankful to all the speakers, Mr. Ankit, Marina, Prabhjot, Suriji, Dr. Singh. And I invite, Surbhi to have final word of thanks. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Sudhanshu, for this interesting session. And I thanks all the speakers, those who have given such insightful, things here. And it was interesting to watch and understand various parameters on which consumption patterns can be, controlled and what all things can be done. And I would request, I'm very thankful to Sodhi sir, Marina, Dr. Prajita, and Ankit. And we had a very good, engaged, and wonderful audience. They have engaged also during the session, and it was an interesting, engageful session. And I would request anyone who's attending this session, because we were talking about, especially about consumption here. We did talk about, industrial consumption on a macro level that Sodhi sir, Ankit, and Dr. Prajita, everybody talked about here. But on personal levels, if we can also be thoughtful of our consumption patterns, that will be a great help, I think, in a longer run. If everybody thinks of their own consumptions, whether we are, consuming energy, water, or other resources, other natural resources, if we are thoughtful, I think this can make a difference to the world. So when you are buying something next time, do think about what impact it is making to the environment. So that's about today's discussion, and we are looking ahead for our next focal point of discussion, which will be the circular economy and the global supply chains. How can we create circular supply chains and reduce waste throughout the value chain? And save the date for the upcoming webinar, which is on 23rd of Feb, another Friday. And stay connected with us on our social media pages for continuous updates on all forthcoming events. And please subscribe to our newsletter. The link has already been shared in the chat box. And thank you once again, everybody. Thanks a lot, speakers, and Dr. Sudhanshu, for moderating this session so well.
Brilliant.
Thank you all very much.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
Thank you,
Thank
Surbhi.
you.
Thank you so much, everyone.
Thank you.
Thanks a lot. And all the previous webinars are there on our YouTube channel. Do watch, there's a link shared in the chat box. You can watch all our previous webinars there. Have a great evening. Have a good time. Thank you. Bye-bye.
Thank you. Bye-bye.